Alright, the analogy of the fire with Corona. Well, I'm sitting here with this awesome fire, and I think, well, it's 0.02% that you die from Corona. And, well, if one of these little sparks comes on me, that's 0.02%. So, should I not enjoy the awesome fire because of the possibility 0.02% that a sparkers are going to get me? Because that's what happens with Corona.
So don't live.
So don't live.
There's a tiny chance you might.
You might die, man. You might die from the flu.
Video's up. Welcome back, guys. We are live from the unoccupied territory of America. Doing a nice little bonfire. Here with my buddy Jeff.
Good evening.
Jeff and I have been together for a long time. We sealed the deal last year when he came out of the closet. So Jeff has been with, we've served together for a long time. Over 10 years, huh?
Yeah, it's been a while, man. Since I was lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new.
Dutch lieutenant and his corduroy jeans.
My red corduroys and planting trees, man. From the Netherlands.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that. Yeah, been serving together for a while, been friends for a while, and he's come up to my place and helped me clean up a lot. And we just did the Grunt-proof survival games, so be on standby for those. So tonight is about a podcast. So let's start with the Dutch thing. So I live in Germany, most people know that, half the year. And this guy lives in the Netherlands. So what's a couple major differences between America and the Netherlands? Let's start pissing people off.
All right, well, the biggest difference, I moved to the Netherlands like 20 years ago to escape. And the biggest difference that I've seen is that people in America, they pretty much live so they can work. And in the Netherlands, people work so they can live. That's the big difference I see.
That's a major theme.
Definitely.
I noticed that in Germany too. Americans tend to live big and large and are broke as shit for it.
Yeah, they're living above beyond their means, and in the Netherlands, I think that's not the case. I also think that like the memories and experiences are more important than the things that people have in the Netherlands as well.
Yeah, you see that rarely in America. Germans are starting to get worse. They're starting to get worse too. Starting to get into things, pop culture, trying to be like hip hop stars and be stupid. So what's another big difference? You can smoke pot anywhere.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as far as smoking pot, I mean, we do that. That's something for medicinal purposes, I guess. If my wife, it's that time of the month or something, it's a pain relief sort of thing. I mean, you go to Amsterdam or something like that, and it's foreigners, Americans, and other foreigners that are the ones that are smoking the pot. It's not so many of the Dutch. That's just, it's a common thing to have pot in your house for the period, I guess you would say. But
period pot.
Yeah, pussy pain. That's what I would say it's for. That's what I tell my kids.
So what?
I've got 2 girls, so.
What is the Dutch oven again?
Oh, the Dutch oven. Yeah. Well, they use it to cook the strawberries the other night, but I never had heard of that. But to me, a Dutch oven is my wife when she was pregnant with my kids. That's the Dutch oven.
Makes sense. So how about how about going shopping? What's the Dutch shopping experience like?
Well, yeah, winkelen. Actually, a lot of it now is online. You just go to bowl.com, just kind of like everybody goes to Amazon.nl or Amazon.de or whatever, and you shop like that. But it is an experience. You go out and drink coffee at a certain coffee shop or something and go shop for a little while and then go find another place to drink coffee. And once you've had about 3 coffees, then you can graduate to beer or some kind of a borrel. Some kind of a borrelcha. That's what they call it.
A borrelcha?
Yeah, borrelcha.
What is that?
That's just a little shot, little drink.
And is that in their agenda?
No, you're talking about agendas. Yeah, everybody has an agenda. So people don't miss that many appointments and whatnot because they're writing it all down in their agendas.
But if you just show up to somebody's house,
that isn't going to work. You got to fucking make an appointment.
you got
ahead
to
of
make an
time.
appointment with your friends.
Oh, yeah. You don't just show up at somebody's house.
Wow.
Very seldom.
Maybe we should do a video where we just go door to door and hang out with people.
That would be quite interesting.
They'd grab out their little book. I don't have you scheduled in here.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go to my sister-in-law's house or nothing like that without calling them first and making an appointment. It's kind of considered rude to do that, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's probably the same way in Germany, right?
I don't know. We have people swing by randomly. I think the older Germans they'll call first just to see if you're home, but it's not really like a hey, pencil me in for 30 minutes. I'm coming by or something. I think they're just like hey, I'm gonna swing by. You home? Yeah, okay. Like people show up randomly and they don't get tossed out.
Even that was part of like the requirement for getting the kids ready to go to school. You know, you buy all the school stuff in the summertime for the next year. They always had to have an agenda. Now it's all on their phones. But until a few years ago, I had to buy the agenda every year for the kids in school. My wife's agenda was always full, and I never fucking had an agenda. So I just never needed to have one. I mean, sitting at home and playing with my cat and going to the gym and lifting weights, I don't really need to schedule that too much. It's just what I do.
Like, hey, Jeff, I want to come by and hang out. What you up to? What time? 3? No, I'm playing with my cats at that time, so no. What about in the evening? Oh, I'm going to the gym. Today's bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
And you got a string in your hand with the cat chasing it.
Tough life. Tough life.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you're still connected to the Army in certain ways. So you just go do Army orders and then come home and hang out?
Yeah, I work for the Army about 2 months out of the year, and I'll do battle assemblies a couple days out of every month, and that's plenty of work. And then I have plenty of time to go to the gym and play with my cat.
And what do you tell the Dutch people when they ask what you do?
Oh, yeah, I tell them I'm in the Army, and I always tell them that I'm getting paid all the time. That just bugs the shit out of them, because they can't figure that one out, how I'm getting paid for sitting at home. But I tell them that, man, and it drives them nuts.
It's good. So, it's November 2021. About a year and a half ago, we were out here when the Corona stuff kicked off. That was pretty interesting because we were up here in the mountains, very limited connection, not even paying attention to the news, and then all the shit went crazy, and we just watched it from the mountains.
Yep, we sure did, and the best picture is I got a case of Corona beer down at the Mar-Valve or whatever, and that's great.
So back then, people weren't really wearing masks, and they're still not wearing masks here. But a lot has happened in our hometowns and everything. So like we went home to, we went to the airport to fly back to Europe, and some people were wearing freaking chemical suits. and double masks and everything, but we still didn't have to wear a mask on the plane. About a year later, it was totally different. Mm-hmm. Now, shit's been locked down. Up in this area, they still don't care. But, yeah, everything closed. So, remember we were here, and they were like, yeah, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Stay home, wear your masks. This 98% survival rate virus will kill us all, but let's stay home for 2 weeks and all this. So now we're a year and a half into 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah, and I just talked to my wife on the phone, or my daughter actually, back in the Netherlands, and they started their fucking silliness. Everything closes at 5 o'clock. Martial law has basically been declared in the Netherlands. So other than going to the grocery store, everything is closed at 5, including my gym, which really sucks.
Jeez.
Especially for my daughter.
I haven't heard of that coming back to Germany. I don't think they'll stand for that. Alright, so since we're into the corona stuff, what was our initial impressions when we were sitting up here being told everybody was gonna die?
Well, we thought it was a joke. And I think it's absolutely silly that the world has come to a halt for a flu virus. But, oh well.
Well, the news made it seem like, we would be, every day, we would be collecting dead bodies in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
To load up on wagons to be taken out and burned. But,
yeah, it was like the new Black Plague or something. They were scaring the shit out of us.
Right, and it worked, for the most part. Most states shut down. Most European countries. I'm just shocked that the Dutch are fucking so okay with that. Now I see why they were such good Nazis.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
Totenkopf.
Yeah, the Totenkopf. Some of the best Nazis were Dutch. They've got the Iron Crosses. Most of them died on the Eastern Front, fighting the Russians. So
how do your Dutch friends react when you talk about
Oh,
that?
man, Dutch people in general think that all the Dutch were freedom fighters. They were the resistance, when in fact that is absolute bullshit. And when I tell them this and explain it to them, it's like blasphemy for me to say that to them.
Well, of course, because, as soon as the Americans or French came in, they're like, whoa, we didn't have anything to do with that shit. It's like, well, the picture of your husband over there says different. He's in a nice SS uniform. What's going on here? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like what a lot of the memes are saying now, like, now we know who would have turned in Anne Frank. And it's basically freaking everybody at this point.
Well, yeah, exactly. For example, my gym, somebody turned in my gym because I don't know why they did it.
So explain that. How did it work with your gym for most of the time? Because most German gyms shut down completely.
Well, I mean, we all had a key, a little magnetic thing for the door, and we could go into the gym, no problem.
The guy just let you come and go?
The guy just let us come and go. We were adults,
Insanity.
No problem. And somebody told on him, so then he fixed it. And now I haven't been home yet, but my daughter tells me that you get a corona test every day before you go into the gym.
So somebody reported him.
Oh yeah,
that
and
he wasn't requiring a code.
Exactly. So it was like the Gestapo. The Gestapo, as we know, was basically administrative people. We have this idea they were all guys in black leather coats killing Jews, but that's not necessarily the case. Most of the Gestapo were just fucking people. And it was only allowed to do well because the people told on the others.
Yeah, that's that book, Hitler's Willing Executioners. I talk about that a lot. None of those bureaucratic agencies have a chance without people turning their own people in. It was that way for the Germans, the Stasi.
Well,
and today, ATF, FBI, all those fed soy boys, they're useless without the people being Karens. It's like the Karens these days are the modern Gestapo.
Well, now you're talking about the cartel up here. basically.
Yeah, all pretty much they've reached pretty close into Oregon.
So how much has the ATF fucked with the cartel? Because they would fuck with you or I, and they killed Koresh, for example, simply because he had some fucking guns they didn't like.
Yep.
So they say.
And Ruby Ridge. Yeah. They'll gladly kill Americans because they got some sawed-off shotguns or bought a ghost gun part or a gun part, but no. The ATF, they won't touch the cartel because they're a bunch of pussies. They know they will get murdered. It's better to go off to white Suburbans and kick their doors in. Yeah, but it's pretty freaky times, man. You know, a lot of people did die during it, and but if you try to talk about the numbers and logic, people play it off like you're just denying it or being a conspiracy theorist. But it's like, well, how many things? I always ask people, how many things in your life do you have a 98% chance of survival? Or on the other end, how many things do you do in your everyday life that you have a 0.02% chance of dying? There's a lot more things that will kill you that you have higher chances of dying from, like driving in your freaking car. Driving down the road in your car, you have a much greater chance of dying.
We've talked about it, man. How many people in America die from obesity each year?
Every year, yeah.
So let's fucking close all the McDonald's and all the fast food restaurants, man.
And
That's
open
what I
the
think
gyms.
needs to happen. Open the gyms. Let people stay in shape, man.
Right. So, but you're not allowed to talk about that stuff. You're coronaphobic or whatever. But like, if it was all about health, health, the gym should have stayed open, and they should have closed. We should have had health and fitness mandates. Where are those? Where's the health mandates? But they don't. It's not about health. They don't give a fuck. You should pull up a list of everything you die from. Besides that, because you have the knuckleheads that are like, well, there were some young 30-year-olds that died. We had some kids die. And last I looked, it was about 20 young kids died of COVID during this whole time. That's terrible. It's sad. I wouldn't want my kids to die from it, but and people my age died from it without the comorbidities, a couple. But other than that, it's been comorbidities. And then people who the flu would have killed in the first place. But, facts don't matter anymore. They really don't.
Absolutely not. The numbers. Numbers lie, I guess. Watch the news. You'll get all the information you need.
Yeah. The news is a excellent source of information. Well, this episode is brought to you by PBR, Freedom Beer. My German buddies watching, they talk shit about it. Well, you go ahead and fuck yourself, because this beer is fine. And it's cheaper. I don't even like German beer. That bugs the shit out of them.
Oh,
German beer's not even that good, man.
No, man. I got to tell you, and Germans are going to be upset with me, and they usually are, but Belgian beer is way better. And for everybody to hear this one, the best breweries are in America. They're not even in Belgium or in Germany. There's so many microbreweries over here, and they are brewing good beer. Better beer than in Europe, and Germans will flip out when they hear that. But it's true.
They don't know about it, because Germans have gotten into the mainstream information, too. So the mainstream myth about America is all we drink is Budweiser and whatever, Corona. But yeah, I tell the German guys I know about all the microbreweries, all these whiskey and moonshine distilleries. They're like, what? They don't believe it. So I actually got some on base. There's a small moonshine company you can buy on base at Ramstein, and I brought some to my retirement party. It's pretty good shit. It's kind of like the German liqueur, but it costs $20 for a jar, so not bad. Let me check on this camera. It doesn't have a light on when it's plugged in. Yep, we're good. So how should we approach our military service together? Killing gypsy horses, or fighting Turkish guys in Wiesbaden? Well, it started with Jeff showing up as a young lieutenant, and at the time I really had no plans to stay in the reserves. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be your new team chief. I'm like, okay, sure, cool, don't care. And then how did we eventually get into doing stuff together? Did I do the CA school yet?
I'm pretty sure I talked you into it. Because you weren't all that enthused about the reserves. But,
or CA.
Or CA, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Eventually we started doing stuff together, and we did a couple...
We did some GMRC rotations, and we did an Odyssey Sword, we worked with the Dutch Army, the German Army, the Italian Army. And then we went to Afghanistan, and I asked you if you wanted to go. I asked you if you'd go with me. Same with James Hazlitt. I asked him, too. He's like, yep, sure. In fact, I asked him when he was there.
Oh, that's right. He came back.
Yeah.
Just to mob with us and go right back.
Yep.
And he would make sure everybody knew that.
Oh, yeah. He sure did. Yeah,
it's my second time in Afghanistan. I just got back to back. Yeah, that's crazy. That wouldn't happen on active duty. But, yeah, that's funny. You asked me first, and I said, fuck no. And then we had a battle assembly, and the battalion commander at the time, him and the sergeant major,
Varhola, and
wanted to talk to me, and they're like, no, it was already the older guy.
Oh.
Not Varhola, the next guy. The one that was our battalion commander while we were there. But he came over there with me, and was like, hey, we're sending a company out there. It'd be good to have a dude like you, and I don't know if you want to go with your lieutenant or not. And I'm just like, I'll think about it. And then you kind of dragged me along.
Well, I'm glad you went.
Ordered me to go.
I'm glad you went. I'm glad you trained me, and then I got there, and I was all trained and ready to go, and it was not what I expected. Let's put it that way.
So we were training to support VSO missions, what all the cool guys were doing, and a lot of the CA dudes were doing that, but we ended up getting stuck under the 173rd, 191 Cav.
Yes.
And never really liked scouts, but I have worked with some good ones. But these guys were probably the biggest sissies I've ever worked with, and I'll say that to anybody. Most of the guys were good, but their command, their leadership was just, it was a prequel to what we're dealing with now. If the shit those guys were afraid of back then was a flu virus, they wouldn't have left the fob.
Well, they didn't leave when the PTIDS was down.
Right. Fucking snow would come, that stupid surveillance blimp would go down, and they wouldn't go out. They're like, no, can't go out without the blimp up. And we're like, what the fuck have we been doing for the last 100 years in our army? Yeah. But anyway, we did not, so... Must be Eric coming home. Oh, that's Beth. Fucking flying.
Fucking flying. Yep.
Just fucking flying.
Yeah, I'd like to hear him.
Maybe we get her to join in. That'd be hilarious. Get her drunk on my podcast.
She talks a lot, man.
Yeah, she'd run the show.
Yep, she would.
Yeah, so, I got a new lieutenant. He's our captain at the time. He's been deployed. But, me coming from the combat field, we were looking and thinking we might actually have a hard time out there. So I took it seriously, and I was like, all right, well, this guy's kind of my friend, and I don't want to let him go out there and die. So I took it upon myself to try to get the team ready to kill everybody, do the CA job, but also kill everybody if it came down to it. We did a lot of really good training and had a lot of fun. And I think I prepared him more than I have most any other soldiers. And then we spend a couple months over there, and it's boring as shit, and absolutely nothing happens. But we were prepared for the worst.
Yeah, the first night we started preparing, we went for a road march, and I sent you out first to kick out all the wild pigs. And you did.
Found a couple, yeah. We almost broke our team sergeant.
Yeah, I fucked John's feet up really bad. Oh, I felt bad about that. Oh, well.
So that's one cool thing. You know, I showed up to the reserves and I was thinking about beer and barbecues, and the unit I joined at the time was the most wannabe Hua unit I had seen. And I was like, this is the reserves, man? Like, this ain't, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not here to be Hua. But eventually we got into the CA world, and it's not just the reserves. Like, actually, you know, most reservists would get more pissy when we used first names and we're more relaxed. Like, we did our movement under fire training and all that, like our firing lanes, and every single critique, well, your movement was good, your battle drills were awesome, you guys took the objective, but stop using first names. So, typical of the Army and a lot of reserve guys, how well you perform your job means nothing. You better not put your hands in your pocket or use first names. But still, when we did the live fire, you know, I hear in the wood line, Randall, you and James flank left. You're like, all right, sir. And the OC is one of our buddies. He's just shaking his head. Like, yeah, those fucking guys. So then we come back from Afghanistan, and we became the training guys for the company. Because people don't know, in a reserve company or a reserve unit, you have a support staff, but it's usually two people who don't. Some of them care, but usually you got a guy that gets you paid and does some paperwork for you. And you got a training NCO that kind of deals with all the useless shit, all the metrics, calling guys about going to the doctor, stupid shit. But most units have guys that come in extra to write the training and stuff. And that's what we did for like a year or something. I think that was pretty cool. So lots of like sitting around drinking beer like this, writing training.
Yeah, and we came up with the idea over beers to go work with the THW. And that was awesome. I mean, that went way up.
Yeah, and of course the command and we had to do it kind of secretively because everybody they were scared to do different stuff. So we actually just did it without telling anybody.
Yeah, and then the Brigade S3 came down and he grabbed me and he's like, who did this? I was like, oh, I did it. He's like, I wish I'd known.
Yeah.
I'd have like generals to see this shit. He was impressed. But anyhow.
Yeah, well, maybe he would have been cool with it, but everybody else would have shut it down. You got wolves in the background.
Yeah, the dogs are happy.
So what's your major complaint with the Army? You don't have to incriminate yourself, but what's something that's either gone down a hill or something that really needs to change? Because we could bitch about the Army all day long, but like even I would tell guys, I don't need complaints, I need solutions. So let's say you're in charge and you can snap your finger. What do you change?
It's true.
All right, so the next question was what he hates most about the Army. So since I'm retired and I'm done, I'm going to answer that for him. So this is me speaking. Yeah, well, the Army has lost their mission focus. It's all about bureaucracy, useless training, useless classes, wasting money, hiring civilians to make us do these useless classes for nothing. And yeah, when they talk about readiness, medical, and just overall readiness, it's a laughable term. Because every time I'd hear it, I'd be like, what are we ready for? They'd be like, yeah, you're green, you're ready. It's like, what am I ready for? not war, not doing my job. So I'm answering that question for him.
Thank you.
Also, the majority of the armies are total pussies these days. I'll say it. Well, not most of the lower guys, most of the upper guys. Politics and dick sucking. So, moving on.
Moving on, buddy.
Especially those officer types.
Like myself. Huh?
I will say, though, this guy is probably one of the best officers I've ever worked with. And that's... I actually did have some pretty good ones, so that actually says a lot. Seen a lot of fucked up ones, seen some really good ones, and you're definitely up there.
Well, good deal.
See? Some dick sucking.
Well, luckily I did I was enlisted prior to it, so...
That seems to be a major part of it.
I think so.
Yeah, all the good officers I met were prior enlisted. Most of the West Pointers I met were totally useless. That's right, I said it. Come out here and fight me. But you better do your DTS first. Get that shit done before you fight somebody. And I want to see a risk assessment. Risk number 1, Randall kicks my fucking teeth in because I'm not ready for shit. How you feel about that one? So, what got you into lifting weights? We talk about this all the time, but you're...
I saw the 1986 fucking Mr. Ohio, or Mr. World. Was it Mr. Ohio or Mr. World? I don't know. It was Richard Gaspari and Mike Christensen. I saw that in 86, so I was 16. I thought, wow, that's really cool. I've been doing it off and on since then, basically.
Since 16?
Yes.
Damn. No wonder it's such a part of your life.
And, I mean, I've never competed with it, but like we were talking earlier, it's one of the 3 best things in life, man. Lifting weights.
Lifting
for
weights
me.
and coming.
Lifting weights, coming, and watching a fire. Very important things. Oh, and I like playing with my cat, too.
That is so not... That is like... Anytime we would meet some other American officers or American units... You're like, yeah, we're going to do some yoga and lift some weights. Like half naked. And they're like, these European guys.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure that I'm having much better sex than they are.
Yeah. That colonel walks in from the States and we're doing yoga half naked in the tent. It's like, what's going on here? And you're like, yeah, man, dude, try some, sir. It's great for sex. And he's like, okay. Have a good night.
Yeah, you laugh quickly after that, man.
You can't talk to Americans about sex. I mean, it could be in TV all day long and thrown at them in beer commercials, but you can't talk about it. Well, we talked about Army silliness. There's a major problem with veteran suicide. And me and one of our buddies was talking about it the other night. I got to talk about it with everybody, especially on here. So, what do you think? And like, there's no one solution, but what do you think is going on there, and how could it be improved? Because pretty much the VA throws drugs at guys, or the Army throws drugs at guys. You know, takes 9 months to 2 years to become a soldier. Takes about 2 weeks to become a civilian again. There's a lot going on there. So do you have any thoughts on that? How to help guys?
Well, I'm not sure that I can talk to helping them because I'm not the psychologist or anything, but I think that one of the root causes of that problem happens to be the silliness concerning the readiness that you were talking about, that becomes such a stressor all the time. It's constant stressor. And for me, I just don't understand it. I mean, as a commander, I'm making phone calls to people, E4s, to make sure that they fucking have done their dental or something. And I think that's silly. So if you're constantly being stressed out by somebody, your leadership, about making sure your dental is good and this is good and this, you do your sharp training and your MRT training, I think that those things contribute to the stress, honestly. And also, I think that the stress can be, well, you can work on stress in different ways. And I totally think that working out and doing yoga and whatnot helps with the stress. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, a lot of dudes get into fitness and stuff. Kind of to battle the demons. But you mentioned the readiness stuff. It is kind of interesting when you're on duty. You have somebody holding your hand, and like when I was on active duty, if you missed appointments and stuff, your team leader would take you to those appointments. So you flash forward to a guy getting out, and he's not doing well, not really taking care of himself. There's nobody there to hold his hand. I think the Army definitely holds guys' hands. So like when you were a commander, would it be easier to just say like, okay, you guys are all big boys, you're adults, you're old enough to fight wars, the Army trusts you to go fight wars, so I'm going to trust you. So you all figure out when your PHA and all this bullshit's done and get it done. I will not harass you. And if they don't get it done, you know, it's like the Army, there's a punishment. Like if I go crash my car on the weekend because I'm sloppy drunk, I'm going to get a DUI and I'm going to get demoted. Why don't we have a punishment for, why don't we let guys be big boys and leave them the fuck alone about stupid shit, let them handle it, and if they don't, then we fuck them up for it. Because your battalion commander will be pissy about you. And you can't say, well, I wanted to let them be big boys, because there are no big boys in the Army. Pretty much.
Well, I would say that generally speaking, I think believe it's Pareto's rule. I spent a lot of time with a few people. I mean, I can tell you that there were 4 or 5 people that I had to call and take care of and hold their hands, but a lot of you guys, you were adults, and I never had to do that sort of shit with you guys. But some of them, and I won't say the names, but I mean, they were on my speed dial. It's like, I better call this dude because he's not doing his fucking stuff.
Did you go see your doctor today? Did you do your fucking PHA? Yeah. One of my favorite sayings now is Army is kindergarten for adults. You show up to basic training, yeah, they kind of make a man out of you a little bit, but you're basically held by your hand all throughout your Army service. Everywhere you go, you got to have somebody else with you. Somebody else is always in charge of you and telling you what to do and how to do shit. It's kindergarten for adults. So a lot of veterans get out and they don't have people holding their hands. So they're fucking lost.
Now, Randall, we just did the survival event, and I'm pretty sure that there was a lot of your military training in the military, the troop leading procedures that we used and that you used when you were preparing for this event.
Yep.
I mean, you were the planner for this event. You did the officer work, basically. And you were part of the execution as well, so that's the NCO part as well. So there are good parts as well, I think.
Totally. There's plenty of excellent things you pick up in the military. And a lot of great lessons, a lot of man lessons. You know, I just think that, and I recognize that anytime I'm working on something and I'm approaching it from an MDMP point of view, I recognize that. But
I heard you mention that to Bill, actually.
yeah, the shame is there's so many guys that don't take those lessons after their military service. They're like, oh, I'm just happy to not have to wake up and do PT, you know, because PT, taking care of yourself physically is terrible. It's a terrible idea. But, like, yeah, I don't have to get up for PT anymore. I'm done with the Army and all that. And they throw everything away. And they retain none of those lessons and none of the good stuff. Because, yeah, you got to face it, you know, a lot of our Army leadership and basic leadership skills and tactics, those come from like what made us win world wars and become one of the greatest fighting forces. So it's pretty good to take into account those lessons. But yeah, like you said, there's, you know, we get stressed out so much. Guys probably are just happy to get their DD-214, grow their beards out and smoke pot, and they're like, I ain't never doing any of that shit again. And so they also drop the good stuff.
Yep, that's true. It's unfortunate.
You know, there's a statistic, I think I told you offline, but after World War II, more than half of the World War II veterans became small business owners. Like 55% or something. These days, the last I looked, it was about 5%. Less than 5%. So we're totally entrepreneurial guys and thinking outside the box. And then the military, if you actually do something cool and, you know, get into combat or deploy and do cool stuff and use that stuff, it kind of should hone that entrepreneurial spirit. Or if you work for somebody else, coming up with great ideas to do shit and taking charge. But, yeah, seeing that statistic, that's pretty bad. Less than 5% of global war on terrorism veterans are small business owners. But like hundreds of thousands kill themselves. So maybe more of them need to start doing their own stuff. I don't know, because yeah, that was one of my problems. Getting out, having all the responsibility of being a team leader, doing really cool shit in Ramadi, like including running sniper teams, and then going out to my first civilian job and being talked down to like a kid, you know. It's a pretty big reality check. But I slowly grew up and started doing different things and found my way.
Well, your survival event was outstanding, and I'm looking forward to doing it again in the future. Next year for sure. Maybe even before that. We shall see how that goes.
So, you know, I was talking about getting groups involved, like Boy Scouts, militias, corporate stuff, like corporate leadership stuff. I wonder if there'd be a way to get military leadership out there in the survival games. Because I would love to see some sergeant majors and full birds survive that event.
Well, you just had a first sergeant out there, and he did it, man. He did really well.
He won, awesome. And he did an amazing job, but he also lost 2 fucking radios.
Yeah, he did. He lost 2 radios. I still can't believe it. A signal first sergeant lost 2 radios. That's his deal, man.
Maybe that's what he was.
What the fuck, man? That's funny.
If he would have been a grunt first sergeant, he would have had a duct tape to his face the second time. Like, I ain't losing this thing.
Right on his cheek, man.
So we'll definitely send this video to Bill. We love you, Bill. Yeah. So speaking of trainees, oh yeah, this video also goes out to Kiss. They were the first ever transgender rock band. We're so proud of them.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it takes some serious courage to do that in the 70s and actually bring it on stage, you know. It's like the first Rocky Horror Picture Show with rock music. That's for somebody special in our lives that absolutely hates when we pick on Kiss, which is why I do it even more.
Yep.
It's like going into the chicken coop with a fire hose.
And turning it up. And you turn it up all the time,
Yeah,
dude.
but now I I go in there with a blowtorch.
My son does it really well, too.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
what we're good at. Yeah, so shout out to Kiss. We love drag queens. It's going to be a bunch of Kiss Karen fans upset about that one. So how do you feel about modern politics? It's very closely related to the corona shit.
Oh, I know. It's super close.
I know you're not a political dude, but
I prefer not talking about politics. I think that politics and coronavirus, and your opinions about that, are two of the worst topics in the world. In fact, my mom and her sister, they don't even talk anymore because of fucking politics, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, America, you used to be able to disagree with someone and still carry on a conversation with them and talk to them, be friends with them. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, it seems like if you disagree, well, you're fucking enemies and you want to fucking kill each other. It's ridiculous. Really is.
Well, I'd say most of that's not the politics. It's just the news helping to divide people.
Well, it's, yeah, the propaganda. We were talking earlier about the Nazis and the Dutch, for example. Well, the Nazis were the kings of propaganda. Well, we're doing it now, big time, too. I always want to tell my soldiers, or I do tell them, propaganda works both ways, guys. I tell them that all the time. And it seems big in America at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry when I say America, I mean, I haven't been here in like 20 years for long. You know, I come on visits. But it's also propaganda in Western society. Westerners are propagandists. They're propagandized big time, man.
Well, this was totally a Western problem. It's going to affect everybody else because, like, the World Health Organization, I think halfway into so about 5 to 6 months into the 2 weeks to flatten the curve fiasco, the World Health Organization, who also helped put all these lockdowns in place, came out with a report showing that like millions in the developing world would die from starvation because foreign aid also stopped. So like the Western economy stopped. That meant we also couldn't try to help feed all these other people who need it and help them. So it was a Western problem, but it's basic, you know, because think about it. If you're in fucking South Sudan, you know, you have bigger problems than a flu virus.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't give a fuck about it. But, you know, when USAID guys quit coming in because they're on lockdown and they can't fly because they can't get out of Ramstein because of a silly virus, then you definitely pay for it. If you're in the Boko Haram areas where they cut your clits off so you don't cheat on your husband and stone people to death, you're like, what? The Americans won't come help us because they're wearing masks and staying home watching football. Because they might get a boo-boo, might get sick.
You know, I saw there was a cartoon, and it was like waves coming in, and there was a small wave, and it said coronavirus, and then there was a huge wave above that, and it said economic crises. So the small one has created the big one. The big one is what's going to get everybody, is the economic crisis. And it's just like you said, come on, man. You're not worried about getting the flu in Chad. You're worried about Boko Haram, for example.
Yeah.
I mean,
get finding clean water to drink and something to eat and getting your head cut off.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are pretty serious concerns.
It's like Louis C.K. talking about the white people problems, man.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely. Fucking A. Be careful. Oh, well.
Well, but, you know, it kind of goes along with the conspiracy theories, like the government will swoop in to save the day. And if you if you make everybody pissed off enough and unemployed enough and hungry enough, the government can just swoop in even easier. Hey guys, we created this problem. The pandemic, in my opinion, was a government problem, a leadership problem. It wasn't a virus problem. But now, those same people that fucked it all up are going to swoop in to save the day. Hey guys, we'll give you a basic income. You don't have to work. You know, what's the point in work? Let's just pay you. We created this problem. We're going to solve it. And it's like Reagan said, you know, those are the scariest words in the English dictionary. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But people have definitely forgotten that lesson. And, you know, speaking about the veterans not being business owners, I forgot the exact year, but there was a study looking back, like 1950 something, more than 80% of Americans were business owners. So the great majority of America ran their own businesses and made their own money, made their own business decisions, and the federal government was way out of the picture. Well, today, you know, especially during the pandemic, 40% of businesses disappeared and ain't coming back. So it's kind of like, you know, in 20 years, it'll be like Orwell's 1984, but we will all be working for the government. I mean, kind of like in a book, everybody kind of worked for the state.
You know, I just reread that book, actually.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to.
I think a lot of people picked that book up this time or reread it.
I reread that one. I reread the Brave New World. Definitely.
Who did that one, Brave New World?
That was Aldous Huxley.
Okay, Huxley, yeah. I think I heard an audio version of that kind of sucked, but I want to get the book.
It's kind of worth the reading because it talks about the importance of sex, actually.
That's the one where everything's he's talking about our technological advances kind of running everything, right? It's more into the AI side of stuff.
And sex is super important, and everybody fucks everybody.
Okay.
Really.
So it's like bonobo.
Yeah, pretty much. Bonobo monkeys, yep. Chimpanzees go to the zoo. Primatology.
Well, it's like the free love hippies, man. So we're out at my place in the middle of nowhere. This is like Jeff's 4th time coming up here. And when I first got this place, it was full of mountain man redneck trash. Just shit. You walk around the yard and you're like, what is this? Like, who was thinking, like, what were they thinking here? And so, like, his first trip out here, he's like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know, burn it. We had a burn pit going constantly and everything went into it. Sorry, Greta. Sorry, green hippies, but it happened.
Yeah, we burned everything.
We had some very colorful smoke, all kind of interesting stuff going on. The hazardous environment memos we got from Afghanistan, like smoke pits and everything, we probably definitely earned those disability benefits out here. But I think we're about done burning shit. We actually get up and walk around.
I have to get on the four-wheeler and go look for stuff now, man. It used to be I could just go grab something right over there. But now I got to go look. So that's good. We're getting there.
Yeah, so we found a saddle that probably everybody around me would have been like, oh, we could use that. Don't throw that away. It burns pretty good. Burned pretty well. We found an old rocking chair, you know, that somebody would take to the thrift store. Then the owner comes back to pick up some more stuff. He's like, hey, where's that rocking chair? Like, oh, we burned it. It's like, that was my grandma's rocking chair. It's like, yeah, well, it burned pretty well, man.
Burned well.
Hoarders.
Well, Randall, I think that you have an absolutely beautiful lawn, actually. I mean, it's not like a fucking golf course. All these Europeans, Americans, Westerners, they like everything to be straight and shit. Nature is not straight, man. Absolutely not. It's man-made if it's fucking straight and shit. So I think this is the way it should be, man. Honestly.
Yeah, Americans definitely love their right corners and soft edges.
Yeah, you told me, like, in sniping school, they taught you to look for shit like that.
Yep. Some things are not natural, and that's how you spot them.
Mm-hmm.
Shape, contour, color, contrast. Yeah, plus, we're in the middle of nowhere, so that's the most important part. So, I think we've been going long enough. We're going to drink all night. That's what we do. And then I take a couple hash gummies, and I'm fucking out. So, let's wrap it up with some man advice.
Advice.
Yeah. So, let's say you're talking to your son or some 16, 18-year-old kid. What kind of life advice would you give them to be successful, to not be a shithead?
I think one of the most important things, and this goes for men, women, doesn't matter. Enjoy the simple things in life, really, because if you don't, that might lead to the stress that we're talking about, big time. Simple thing like fire, enjoy it, man. I wake up in the morning, I'm fucking sitting out there doing yoga and the sun's coming up and the birds are out there. I think that's awesome stuff, man. I know that sounds fucking cheesy and all, but that would be my advice. Enjoy the simple things.
Playing with cats.
Yeah, playing with cats, man. That's fucking awesome. I love it. I love playing with my cat, man.
Yeah, and like we both agree, if you're going through some crazy shit or some stressful stuff, even at work, I like to think, would this matter in 5 years?
I keep that in mind all the time. When I start feeling stressed, I'm like, what? You told me. I think of Randall saying, is this going to matter in 5 years? Fuck no. I think of my dad. He died when he was 48. He fucking worked his ass off and everything. He was working. He had the 5-bay garage and working on cars. What a waste of time, man. But at least the last couple of years, he went on vacations. He got a younger chick, and things worked out well for him then.
All right, well, that's Jeff live from the unoccupied territory telling us some basic man stuff. Appreciate the small shit. Play with your cats. And if your boss is an asshole and you won't care about the job in 5 years, punch him in the dick.
Get a new job, man.
Yep, and then, punch him first and then get a new job.
Or do like in Fight Club and punch yourself and get fucking money.
Oh, there you go. Or assault yourself sexually and blame it on your boss.
Oh no, that was the American Beauty. He beat himself up and claimed his boss did it.
Yeah,
Yep,
that was good stuff.
Great movie.
I want a severance package.
That was a great movie,
Yeah.
man.
Smoking pot and lifting weights.
I'd like my last car, 70 Pontiac Le Mans. It was awesome, man. My wife learned to spin the tires in that motherfucker, man. She'd call her dad up, and they were fucking gone, the tires. No time.
So, that is it, guys. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. And Jeff, thanks for being around.
Sure thing.
We'll do some more stuff in the future. So, we'll see you guys next time. Out.